It's no secret that liberals are disappointed in Barack Obama's second term, where he hasn't been able to get much accomplished and has presided over a foreign policy that has seen the Middle East turn into chaos, basically, and a surge in terrorism as well. But after the Paris attacks, even liberal supporters of the president were kind of unable to defend how he handled that moment, because he fell so flat, he fell so short of the moment in the way in which he talked about the Paris attacks, not seeming to understand or accurately reflect how scared many Americans were that this could happen in this country, seeming defensive as he talked to reporters about it. And you remember the spectacle of all those White House reporters hammering the president about whether he had underestimated ISIS and whether his strategy against ISIS was failing, and the president saying he kept answering the question over and over again because the answers were not satisfying him. Well, this created a moment picking up the Washington Post and seeing Richard Cohen, longtime liberal columnist, just really taking it to Obama. Now, he's just one columnist in one newspaper, but I thought some of what he said had resonance and kind of was almost a proxy for the sense of liberal disappointment in this president, who once was this great hope and change figure, racial groundbreaker, and for whom so many had high hopes. So Cohen writing that Obama's legendary eloquence has been replaced by petulance, and he has lost the power to persuade. And he goes on to say, to talk about the response to the mass killings in Paris. This happened in real time. We all saw it on our TV sets. And then he says, yet Obama spoke coldly by rote, saying all the right things in the manner of a minister at a funeral, presiding over the funeral of a perfect stranger. And finally, Cohen has this sort of epitaph, one might say, for the Obama presidency. To a large degree, he writes, Obama became president on the strength of his eloquence. To a large degree, that is what has deserted him. He is out of words because he is out of ideas. Well, that's a little harsher than I might put it, and it is certainly true that many presidents have had what I would call the second-term blues. George W. Bush after Katrina and the Iraq War, turning into a quagmire, I think never quite had the same hold on the country's popular imagination after that. Bill Clinton, obviously, after he was impeached but not convicted by the Senate. Ronald Reagan after the Iran-Contra scandal. And, you know, a president is never truly a lame duck. A president can still act unilaterally. And there were times, as we just saw in the aftermath of Paris, where the spotlight finds the president, even while all the media's attention is on who will succeed him, the 27, 28 Republican candidates, as well as Hillary and Bernie and Martin O'Malley on the Democratic side. But it is, when you take a step back and think about it, I mean, Obama, his ability to give a great speech, his ability to as a writer, his ability to kind of break through in 2008, that's how he got himself elected. Yeah, a lot of you will say the press helped because the press was very easy on him, and that's true. But the press doesn't elect anybody. The press can make it harder or easier on a candidate. And there are still times when this president has shown great eloquence. The moving speech he gave, the funeral eulogy for the victims in the Charleston, South Carolina church, where he sang Amazing Grace, that was an incredible performance. But then he had something to say. And on foreign policy increasingly, and even liberals like Richard Cohen now believe, he doesn't have much of a policy, anything new to propose right now against ISIS, and therefore his words seem to lack eloquence and resonance. And even watching him yesterday give a news conference again in Paris, but this time on the climate change summit, it just seemed to me he said a lot of words, but they didn't really resonate. And maybe this is how his presidency winds up, with not a lot of people paying attention to his great many words, however well-crafted they may be, as the country's attention simply moves on.